Chapter 4. The almost Sunday mornings had changed. What began as casual bumps near the avocados and hesitant hellos in the cereal aisle had morphed into something intentional. Now, Maya and Eli arrived at the store with the same unspoken understanding. They were meeting each other. Their carts found each other faster. Their conversations came easier. Sophie walked between them sometimes, her hand grazing Maya's cart as she talked about the stories she'd made up that week. Maya listened with genuine delight, often kneeling to meet Sophie at eye level, validating every wild, whimsical idea. One morning, Maya reached into her tote and handed Sophie a small, wrapped package. "It's just a coloring book. I saw it and thought of you." Sophie lit up, unwrapping it like it was a birthday present. "Mermaids and dragons. Only the best combo," Maya said. Eli gave her a quiet look, grateful but cautious. Maya noticed the hesitation, but didn't press. Not yet. They lingered longer these days, spent twice as long in the snack aisle debating the merits of sea salt chips versus sour cream. They swapped recommendations for kids' books and grown-up podcasts, started sharing pieces of their week like breadcrumb trails. Still, there were boundaries. Eli never texted, never called. They hadn't exchanged numbers. Everything lived in the bubble of Sunday, suspended between shelves and soft music and fresh produce. And somehow, that made it safer. Until it wasn't. Maya hadn't seen her ex in nearly 2 months. She was in line at the pharmacy inside the store, refilling allergy meds, when she heard the voice behind her. "Maya?" She froze. Derek stood there in khakis and the same smugness he always wore like cologne. His hair was a little longer. He had the audacity to smile like they'd just bumped into each other at a high school reunion. "I heard you were back in town," he said, stepping forward like he had any right to be near her. "Can we talk?" She hesitated, heart hammering. "Not here." "Just 5 minutes?" She reluctantly followed him toward the cafe seating near the windows. She could already feel the panic building, the old familiar script, him talking circles, her losing footing. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry," Derek said, "for the way I left. I panicked, and it was a shitty thing to do. I think about you all the time." She blinked at him. "You don't get to say that now." "I didn't come here to start anything," he said, lifting his hands. "I just thought maybe we could grab coffee sometime. Talk. Start over?" Maya opened her mouth to answer, but a movement at the corner of her eye stole the words. Eli. He stood frozen just past the self-checkout, watching them. His expression was unreadable. Then, just like that, he turned and walked away. Maya's stomach dropped. She stood abruptly. "I have to go," Derek frowned. "Maya, no." Her voice was firm. "You don't get to rewrite the ending." She left him sitting there, and the satisfaction was short-lived. The next Sunday, Eli was cold. Polite, but clipped. Distant. He offered Sophie a quiet nod when she waved at Maya. His words were practical. No small talk, no jokes about the best apples for baking. She waited until Sophie wandered off toward the bakery samples to say something. "Did I do something wrong?" Eli didn't meet her eyes. "You don't owe me anything." "That's not what I asked." He sighed, then finally looked at her. "I saw you, with him." Maya's heart dropped. That wasn't what it looked like. "He looked like someone who had a history with you. You looked like someone who was still figuring it out." I was telling him goodbye. Eli said nothing. Maya stepped closer, lowering her voice. "You don't get to shut me out without a conversation." His jaw clenched. "I have a daughter, Maya. I can't afford to misread someone's intentions. She already likes you. I like her too. And what happens if you change your mind? If this gets messy? If you decide you're not ready to be part of this?" Maya's voice cracked. "You think I haven't thought about that every single day?" Silence stretched between them. Then Eli exhaled, voice softer. "I'm scared." Maya nodded. "So am I." She swallowed. "You're a good dad, Eli, and I would never walk into something I couldn't take seriously. But I'm still healing, and you are too. Maybe the worst timing in the world gave us the best thing, and we're too afraid to mess it up." Their eyes locked. "I think about you during the week," he said suddenly, "but I don't reach out because I don't know how to make space for something that might not last." Maya blinked hard against the sudden burn behind her eyes. "Maybe it's not about lasting. Maybe it's about being honest, even if we're a mess." He took a step closer. It would have been so easy. One more inch. One breath. But instead, he stopped. "I don't want to hurt you," he whispered. "And I don't want to be someone who makes your life harder," she said. The almost kiss hung between them like a held breath. Then Sophie returned, waving a cookie. The moment snapped. They parted like nothing had happened, but everything had. That night, Maya lay in bed and whispered to the dark, "If this isn't love yet, then why does it hurt like it is?" And in a house across town, Eli stood at his windows, staring into the quiet street, wondering the same thing. Chapter 5: The Leap. The produce section felt colder without him. Maya hadn't stepped foot inside the store for 3 Sundays. Not since that almost kiss. Not since they had stood in front of the granola bars and silently agreed their timing was a mess. At first, she told herself she was just taking space. Then it became habit. She went to a different grocery store across town, one with wide aisles and no memories. She told herself it was for a change of pace, that she was doing the mature thing by stepping back. But she knew better. Avoidance didn't feel like healing. It felt like grieving something that had never even begun. Eli hadn't called, not that she expected him to. Their thing had always existed in this unspoken, in-between space. No phone numbers, no labels, no obligations, just Sundays. So when she pulled into the lot 4 weeks later, she wasn't sure what she was doing. Maybe it was nostalgia, maybe it was guilt, maybe she missed the apples, but mostly she missed them. Him, Sophie, that quiet tenderness that felt so rare and unshakably real. She walked in slowly, unsure if she was hoping to see him or bracing herself for the ache of not. The store looked the same. The shelves still had that faint lemony smell from the cleaners. A toddler was already screaming in aisle 3. The same tired pop song hummed through the overhead speakers. And then she saw her. Sophie, standing by the apples. Alone. Maya blinked, startled. Her gaze scanned the area for Eli. Nothing. Sophie spotted her and lit up. "You're back?" Maya walked over quickly, kneeling beside her. "Hey, where's your dad?" Sophie held up a folded piece of paper like a secret message. "He told me to give you this if I saw you." Maya hesitated before taking it. The handwriting was unmistakably his. Sophie insisted on grocery day. I almost didn't come, but she reminded me that the girl who picks the best apples might be here. I've missed you. We both have. Maya felt the breath leave her lungs. She looked up, and there he was. Eli stood at the end of the aisle, hands in his coat pockets, looking like he didn't dare hope too much. Maya straightened slowly, her eyes locking with his. It was him who moved first. He approached with measured steps, each one carrying a dozen unspoken apologies. "I wasn't sure you'd come back," he said, voice low. "I wasn't sure either," she whispered. They stood face to face, surrounded by apples and oranges, as if the universe had pressed pause. "I tried not to miss you," Eli said. "I thought maybe giving you space was the right thing." "I thought walking away was the strong thing," Maya said. But it didn't feel strong. It felt like losing something before it ever had a chance. He nodded, his expression open, bare. "I'm scared," he said again. "Still. Nothing in my life has ever felt safe. Until Sundays." Maya's chest tightened. "Me too." They stood there in silence. Sophie had wandered toward the bananas, humming to herself. Eli reached for Maya's hand, hesitant but deliberate. "I'm not promising perfect," he said, "but I'll show up. For real this time, outside the grocery store, too." Maya gave him a watery smile. "I don't want perfect, I just want honest." He leaned in slowly, giving her space to stop him. She didn't. Their kiss wasn't dramatic or rushed. It was soft, careful. Like two people who had waited long enough and still couldn't believe they got this far. When they pulled apart, her forehead rested against his. "Should we tell Sophie?" Maya asked, smiling. Eli laughed under his breath. "She already told me she was going to make you a card next week. Said she wanted to call it 'Thank You for Being My Almost Mom.'" Maya swallowed the lump in her throat. "That's the best title I've ever heard." They turned together to find Sophie, and Maya felt it, finally. Not like a movie ending, but like a beginning. Real, messy, beautiful, and completely worth the wait. Epilogue: The Sundays After. 1 year later, the apples were on sale again. Maya smiled as she placed them gently into the cart. 6 of them, firm and crisp, each one carefully checked with the precision of someone who had once been lovingly teased about her avocado analysis. "I still think you picked the best fruit," Eli murmured beside her, nudging her shoulder as he reached for a bunch of bananas. Maya leaned in closer. "You only say that because I picked you." "Exactly," he said, his grin crooked and content. It had been a year since that Sunday when they kissed for the first time in aisle 5. A year of slow mornings and messy dinners, of therapy appointments, school pickups, late night laughter, and learning each other's scars. Not to fix them, but to hold them gently. Maya still had bad days. Sometimes she froze when she saw engagement rings and ads or heard a certain song. Eli still struggled with guilt when he forgot to refill Sophie's lunch thermos or when grief washed over him unexpectedly at bedtime stories. But now they did the hard things together. And somehow, that made it easier. Sophie came racing back toward them from the end of the aisle, waving a small box of chocolate-covered pretzels in triumph. "I found them! The good ones!" Eli crouched down. "You're sure those are the ones?" Sophie nodded solemnly. "The ones Maya hid on the top shelf last week, so we could find them today." Maya raised a guilty hand. "They're the only ones with the right kind of salt." Sophie placed the box proudly into the cart, then looked up at Maya with serious eyes. "Can I tell her now?" Eli smiled. "Go ahead." Sophie turned and took Maya's hand. "Daddy and I made you something." Maya blinked. "Right now?" Sophie dug into her little backpack and pulled out a card. It was made from folded construction paper and decorated with glitter, misspelled words, and a stick figure drawing of the three of them standing next to a shopping cart with a heart above it. The front read, "Happy our first grocery-versary." Inside, Sophie had written in crooked letters, "Thank you for picking apples. Thank you for picking us." Maya's throat closed up. She knelt down and hugged her. "You picked me too, you know." Sophie hugged her tighter. "Duh." Eli watched them quietly, his eyes soft. Maya stood and turned to him, voice a little shaky. "You planned this whole thing?" He shrugged. "You made Sundays matter again, thought we should celebrate." She cupped his face and kissed him, quick, tender, familiar. The kind of kiss that said, "We're home." The three of them stood there for a moment, surrounded by oranges and the low hum of Sunday morning routine. No dramatic declarations, just a cart full of snacks, a girl who believed in love, and two people who met in the right place at the worst possible time and chose each other anyway. Because some love stories don't begin with fireworks. They begin with apples. Thank you for reading the grocery aisle MeetCute. If this story made you smile, ache a little, or believe in slow-burning, perfectly imperfect love again, you're exactly the kind of reader I write for. Want more emotionally rich, twisty, and heartfelt romance stories? Subscribe to stay updated on future releases, bonus scenes, and exclusive sneak peeks into upcoming love stories that are just as real, raw, and rewarding. Because love doesn't always knock, it sometimes waits in aisle 5. Subscribe now and never miss a Meet Cute again.